You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
This is the Daniel Monday Night Community Show on demand through YouTube. Thank you very much for choosing to listen to us through this method. If you'd like to keep up to date with when I add new interviews, then subscribe to this channel. Brian Goodhew's here in the studio this evening, a regular visitor here at the Monday Night Community Show, and he's been updating us on the Medway Queen throughout the progress of it. And of course, the last time we spoke to Brian, I was actually out and about, and I had a really good day down at Gillingham, and I had a nice look at the boat and its progress and the visitors centre. So it was a really, really nice day. But Brian's back here now to let you know on the progress. But I think, firstly, you're going to do a little bit of a sort of an introduction, I think, firstly.
Yeah, good evening, Daniel.
Good evening.
Here we are again. Medway Queen, I was thinking about your younger listeners. They might not know what the Medway Queen is or what it did. So I'll just go back on a few items there, especially from the people in Swale and Sheerness. Medway Queen is a pleasure steamer along with 3 other paddle steamers operated from the Medway towns just during the summer months. This, of course, was long before in holiday times that you went to Benidorm or flew anywhere really, because this was your part of your 6 weeks holiday. People in Sheerness would often walk to the end of Sheerness Pier, which was in a terrible state. There was planks missing on Sheerness Pier. As children, we used to love jumping from one plank to another, and I think that the health and safety people at the moment would just ban it completely, because you walked along and then suddenly there was a gap in the floor and you looked down at the waves or the mud which was underneath you. So no, that was when, let you know where the pier was. It ran alongside the dockyard wall. And if you was going out to meet one of the pleasure steamers, out of 3, there was the Medway Queen, the Queen of Kent, Queen of Thanet, Rochester Queen. And just to let you know that all those pleasure steamers would carry 500-600 people, and every day of the week apart from Friday. So you can imagine how many people did end up in Southend. Anyhow, you went across about 10:30 in the morning in Sheerness and take the 45-minute trip across to Southend with its long pier, with its train on it, the Kurzel, which was a large fairground, and of course the beach. You had a glorious day in Southend. You made it with your candy floss and your toffee apples and your fish and chips, all the traditional old-fashioned seaside visit, and you arrived back in Sheerness very tired, very weary, ready for bed, but you arrived back about 6 o'clock. Southend was the crossroads. You could actually go across in the morning, and all right, if you stayed on the Medway Queen, you could go round to Herne Bay, or get off the ship and change onto another ship and go to Margate, or even round to Clacton. So it was a bit busy place, Southend Pier. Or people even just went to Southend Pier and stopped on there and watched the sights and do a bit of sunbathing.
And I think we're going to talk a little bit when I last spoke to you, when I was down.
Yes, Daniel, you was the star of the day. This man from the local radio paid a visit to Gillingham Pier when you visited us a while ago, and you interviewed all the staff, including our apprentices, all 10 of them, including the young lady who was an electrician apprentice. No disrespect to ladies, but she did fuse the lights 3 times. But we don't mention that in public. I'm going to tell you that all 10 apprentices that you met have all now completed their apprenticeship, and they're all in full-time work. So we're rather pleased about that. It's now time to get down to restore the ship with volunteers. Most of them are working in the engine room and in the aft saloon, which we've got funding for. We're glad to welcome retired tradesmen who are carpenters and ex-ship engineers. As an ex-crewman myself, it's good to see the ship coming back to life. Even that being slow, it still steps forward. Funding from the lottery and our Heroes to Sea partners abroad come to a stop when the ship come back from Bristol in 2013, and we have to rely on our members to keep us going. In fact, our membership have been brilliant. Please keep it up. Thanks, everybody. Details where you can find us and how to donate I'll tell you later. Last year the lottery awarded us a small interim grant which allowed us to put our house in order. We shall apply for another lottery grant in December. This grant will be spent basically on the ship.
And I think you're going to talk a little bit about some of the things you've been doing this year.
That's right, Daniel. Well, this year in May, it was a terrific time for us because it was the 75th anniversary of the Dunkirk campaign, when the British armies were trapped on the French beaches, and in desperation, all small ships could make it, were sent to Dunkirk and bring back our stranded troops. HMS Medway Queen, as she was then known, was ordered with 5 other seaside paddlers to make the trip. In fact, she made the round trip 7 times in 9 days, bringing back approaching 7,000 tired, hungry, exhausted men. It is pointed out that people say that it was now that the war was won, because these men that was rescued formed our armies that went back to win the war. The 75th anniversary celebrations were held at Ramsgate, and it was thought, and definitely correct, that we should be there. So the race was on to get her ready. Many workers worked late into the evening to make her ready, while inspections took place, gangways built, seaworthy checks and questions were asked, right down to, did she fit actually alongside Ramsgate quayside? Tugmaster Alan Pratt took the job of towing her round from Gillingham, a journey of 6 hours. He arrived on the morning of the 18th of May. Volunteers took up residence in Ramsgate, and some of them were at Manston Airport in their accommodation, some in bed and breakfast, and some on holiday park caravans. Wednesday the 20th, the ship was open to the public. We had made it. The public turned out in their hundreds, and the Medway Queen was a must to see. Many childhood memories were relived, with partners giving their own commentary on how they went to Southend as a child. Things to see on board: we added in the aft saloon a table with a layout in the shape of Dunkirk harbour, and on it were 7,000 airfix soldiers in army garb and different stances. For a small fee, people could rescue a soldier from the beach. When you lift the soldier, there was his name on the table. So in fact, you had rescued perhaps Bill, Bert, Henry or Harry. The idea caught on, and people bought more than one, and you can still buy them online. We'll give you the details later. Also on board, we had a local amateur radio group which was broadcasting all around the world. It was pleasant to hear that Radio Medway Queen was heard in Switzerland, Australia and all other places. Over 200 hits were made. The lads were very, very pleased. A large sail stand did well, while in the background good old Winston Churchill was heard to be giving his speeches from a 1940s radio, or wireless. Many people were impressed by the engine room and the improvements we had made since they last on board. Myself, as a publicity officer, was busy with 5 radio stations, including, well, I'm rather pleased, British Forces Network in Germany. TV was there, both BBC and Meridian. They were broadcasting live, which, yes, okay. Interviewing people involved, including a gentleman who was rescued by the Medway Queen, and he proudly showed people the place on deck where he had slept on the journey home. A local army team gave a mock aircraft attack while they defended a reenactment. Visitors included the Lord Lieutenant of Kent, mayors and mayoresses from many Kent towns, and even a selection of carnival queens. The busiest day was Bank Holiday Monday, when thousands of people turned up to watch the small ships return from their journey to Dunkirk. At the end of the day, we had to set up to make the ship ready to come home to Gillingham. The next day, the people turned up in their hundreds round the harbour to watch the Medway Queen leave. Later, people on the Isle of Sheppey got a lovely view that evening, and as in the beautiful evening sunshine, the Medway Queen passed close to Minster and Sheerness. I had several phone calls telling me what a beautiful sight.
You were talking all about how you were at Ramsgate. So how did the Medway Queen get there?
Well, it was towed there. We're progressing very well, but there's a big empty space in the middle of the ship where we need a boiler. Just asking your listeners if they have made their will. A boiler, give you an idea, which is a major part of driving the engine, is cost in the region of, we'll say, £222,000, because it has to be made specially for that type of engine. So Alan Pratt, who's a tug master and lives in Lower Raynham, Gillingham, and his family, they do run their own tug. He's a seasoned captain and has operated around these shores for many, many years, and he took the job on, and in fact he towed us down and stopped with us all week in case we had any problems, and then he towed us back on that Tuesday morning.
And I think you wanted to talk a little bit more about now you're back at Gillingham Pier.
Well, we're now back at Gillingham. Get your pens and pencils ready, because I'll give you some details. Gillingham Pier, which is Pier Approach Road, Gillingham. Here's our postal address. Obviously, Medway Queen, Pier Approach Road, Gillingham, ME7 1RX. Our office hours are Monday to Thursday, which is Medway, 01634 575717. Email address, of course, is nice and simple, the 3 W's .medwayqueen.co.uk. Have a look at our website. We are on Twitter, and also on Twitter and Facebook. And on our website we have the glorious thing they call a donate button. If you wish to help us, and we always do need a lot of help, please press the button. People who run clubs are looking for someone to come and talk about the Medway Queen. I can urge you to contact Mark Bathurst. Mark and Pam, husband and wife, do an excellent talk. Nothing but praise for them. You can get them on 01843 227 941, or email Mark Bathurst, one word, at sky.com. I would recommend it. They do travel anywhere. They've even been to Scotland, they go down the West Country, and they thoroughly enjoy it. The ship is open to the public just on a Saturday, because the rest of the week they're actually working on it. Any Saturday from 11 till 3. When you're invited, I shall be there to welcome you to visit the visitor centre, tour the ship, and browse in our gift shop. Now I've said that, just to be awkward, this weekend we got a private booking, but please make for Gillingham Pier in the future. You never know, we might be fitted out for things like weddings. If you want to get married, come on board. Or we've got a birthday party coming up in 2 weeks' time, and this chap is celebrating his 50th birthday party, and he's got people coming from Australia, Canada and New Zealand.
And I think we were going to finish off by you talking a little bit about what you're actually going to do with the Medway Queen once it's finished.
Well, finished is the word. As I've mentioned already, it's going to take a usual two things, a lot of time and a lot more money. Like everything else, people doing in restoration, suddenly this job comes up and they need money for this and they need money for that. But finally, one day it will be a fully restored paddle steamer, and the lottery, who have been very good to us in the past, have demanded that it will be rebuilt exactly to 1924 plans. So if there's anybody about who remembers the Medway Queen, it will look exactly how you will remember it. It would be described as a museum ship with the capabilities of sailing. Now, where do you sail to? You sail to anywhere locally that's got a pier left. Unfortunately, Sheerness Pier is no longer here. Perhaps you could come in the dock, but at the moment we could, now this is all could, if but maybe, we could go to Southend Pier, what could we do at Southend Pier? We could stop at the end of it while people come on board and have a look around, or we could trade off of it for a couple of days. We could go to Clacton, which was another point of call, but unfortunately Clacton is not too well used, and it was always a bit of a job to get into there because of mud banks and things. So that could be on the list, or it may be. We could go to London, doing a London cruise, or we could do cruises like out to your Red Sands and round to the forts, which is another option. Herne Bay comes into line because Herne Bay people, they formed a trust. I know the pier's not there at the moment, but they have said, they keep ringing us up and saying, you bring the ship, we will build the pier. So that could be an option. And we could recreate the afternoon cruise that she used to do. She used to do Herne Bay, she'd do a double shuffle. Herne Bay, Southend, Southend, Herne Bay, Southend. In fact, I've got many, we do fetes and fairs, and I've met people in Herne Bay. Two of them. One of them, the lady said that she'd met her boyfriend, but he lived in Southend. So she lived in Herne Bay, so they did the round tour and they met for half a trip each. I'm glad to say they're still together. Another woman come up and says, I hate the Medway Queen. So I thought, oh dear, here we go. And she says, no, as a little girl I sat on the top deck holding my doll, and my dolly fell over the side and the captain wouldn't stop. So when I look out into the estuary, somewhere there's my doll down below. Right, I think that's it then, Daniel.
No, it's been great to have you here once again, update us. Thank you very much for coming along.
Well, I thank you for all your publicity and interest over, so many years, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if we do anything fantastic or newsworthy, you'll be the first one to know. Thanks to all your listeners, and thanks for your support.
As always, that is Brian Goodhew right here at BRFM on the Monday Night Community Show, talking all about the Medway Queen and, of course, updating you on the progress as we've continued to do over the years here at the Monday Night Community Show.